Like the quintessential college-bound gift, Dr. Seuss's Oh, the Places You Will Go, presentations are not made of a single space. They are dynamic and change from venue to venue and even from point to point. Knowing how to use a space effectively in a presentation will elevate that presentation from bland to intriguing. The first thing to recognize is that there are spaces present within presentations. The study of proxymetrics identifies 4 zones surrounding each person, which apply to the presentation space. The public space spans about 12 to 25 feet out from a person in all directions and is used naturally for public speaking. Second, the social space spans about 7 to 12 feet out from the speaker and is used for interactions among acquaintances. Third, the personal space bubble is about 2.5 to 4 feet out from a person and is reserved for interactions among good family members and friends. And finally, the intimate space, about 6 to 18 inches out, is used for embracing, touching, and whispering. These zones are applied in presentations. The public zone can be thought of as the speaker's engagement with the audience. The social zone can be thought of as his or her space on the stage. The personal space is the area in which they make gesticulations, and the intimate space can also be thought of as that. The speaker engages his or her audience, by speaking at them. However, the techniques used to do this overlap in every other sphere. So let's move on then to focus on the techniques used for the stage in the social space. The simplest way to master stage movement is to move. The movement engages the audience and adds layers of meaning to your message. Be careful, however, for random movement will easily distract from your message. Don't be discouraged, though, for there are many ways to actually engage your audience through moving. You can use the stage as a timeline, moving in a chronology from left to right or from right to left as your story progresses. Or you can argue pros and cons by switching between sides to illustrate in a debate. Assign each portion of your presentation a space, cluing the audience into when you have moved on. Or finally, you can move closer to the audience to emphasize the importance of a point. That's all well and good, but if you're uncomfortable with stage, these tips can help you become a little bit more comfortable. Try to always arrive early to your space so you know what it will be like, and drink water beforehand or use positive visualization. But space is not simply mastered by moving on stage. There is also a space within the space to address, body language or gesticulations. I'm sure you've all heard of the statistic that only about 7% of body language is the words you actually say. Here's the rest of that breakdown. 38% of language is tonality, pauses and modulation of voice, and then the remaining 55% is your body language. So, to have an effective presentation, not only must you be able to say the things that you've prepared and block out the movements across the stage, but also, and perhaps most importantly, use your body language to communicate your message. The best way to do this is through hand gestures. The smoother the better. Everybody enjoys a fluid hand gesture, and jerky and robotic motions can be distracting. So try to be as natural as possible. Unless natural for you means to throw your hands everywhere. There is a space, a box, which dimensions are roughly your waist to your shoulders and out a foot. Staying within this box will make your movements seem less erratic and distract from your presentation less. Hand movement also depends on your audience. There are some gestures which are inappropriate in cultures. For example, the rock on signal is a subtle communication that your spouse is cheating on you in Brazil. And some gestures naturally do not lend themselves well in such situations, like the rock on symbol. So know your audience and know some professionalism. You can also communicate through body language with eye contact, though with this it's a little bit more about what not to do. Try to evenly distribute your attention throughout the entire audience. But if you find yourself failing to do this, do not dart your eyes all over the place, leaving people out, or overcompensate by looking everywhere at once, for this unnerves your audience. There are many spaces which are nested within each other. Each layer has its own rules, and practice makes perfect. Understanding nuance is key. So for now, remember this. Movement across the stage is recommended, but have a purpose for the movement. Hand gestures are critically important for understanding and engaging with your audiences, but there are boundaries for too little and too much movement. Keep this in mind, and your presentation will become much more effective.